this is Daisy from Gephardt Daily, and today we are talking to Derek Hansen, who is the Executive Director of Red Butte Gardens, and specifically talking about the Outdoor Concert Series, which is a hugely popular concert series in Utah. Around 30 artists a year, I'm understanding, and this year's lineup is everything from Boy George to ZZ Top. And tickets went on sale Monday, I understand, for Red Butte Garden members.
Correct.
And then Monday the 2nd at 9 a.m., they go on sale to the general public.
Right.
So I just wanted to talk, first of all, about when tickets went on sale. First of all, did they sell incredibly fast? And were there any surprises for you about kind of what sold fastest?
That's the guessing game every year, and we have a lot of fun with that. Actually, this year the Head and the Heart went the fastest, which I would have assumed it would have been maybe Bonnie Raitt, but it was actually the Head and the Heart. And then shows that you're not sure how well they're going to do sometimes surprise us, like the Psychedelic Verse, for example. It's not sold out, but the tickets are way up there. We ended up selling a little over 60,000 tickets. We've sold 75% of our all available season tickets available for the season already. So yes, it sold very well. We're about 2,200 tickets a show have sold.
And that's just to members so far.
Right. Yeah. And usually that's how it works every year here. We sell the bulk of them to our members.
And how do you go about with it's such a range of different artists and genres. How do you go about assembling the lineup every year?
Well, it's a very organic experience. There's not a really strict formula to it at all. I have a partner here, Chris Motz, that helps book for us, and he and I have worked together for decades. So the two of us just sort of sit down and see what's available. Sometimes we have our wish lists of bands we'd like to go try. Sometimes it's relationships with agents, and they will pitch bands that are touring that they think would be a good fit for us. And then as things start to confirm, that's when we'll start to pivot. We've got enough 80s music, so now let's go look for, something for a younger crowd. And now we have enough of those, so let's go find some classic rock. So it's a very organic experience, and it kind of depends on shows as they confirm which direction we might pivot.
Mm-hmm. And what are you most? What were the shows this year that you were the most thrilled to kind of score?
Well, I got to preface this by I'm a little jaded on the business because I've been doing it a long time. So I've kind of seen it and done it, most of them. So the two I'm actually most excited for are two that we've never done before, the Revivalists and Camp. And really it's because we haven't had those shows here before. And I like their music, and I think those will both be great shows.
And tell me about those two. I'm not familiar with either of those bands, actually.
Well, the Revivalists are kind of a New Orleans, kind of fun, upbeat band. We've actually tried to get them here a number of times over the years, and it finally came together this year. And Camp is kind of I guess you call them like a folksy rock band, maybe with a kind of a hint of bluegrass to them, but not a lot. But they're kind of a more up and coming band. The Revivalists have been here around a while. Camp hasn't. They're a newer band.
So do you try and put things in for people that maybe, you said like a New Orleans style band, do you try and put things in that maybe people haven't seen live before, perhaps?
Yeah, if we can. Yeah, it depends on what's touring. But yeah, that's always something that we want to find something unique that, you might only see at Red Butte.
And I know most people in Utah have been to a Red Butte show. It's such a popular thing to do in the summer. But if you haven't and you buy tickets, what should people know about coming to a Red Butte show and what it's like?
Well, the one thing that I don't think people realize is how chilly it gets at night up here in the canyon. So it can be, even if it's 100 degrees during the day, I tell people still bring a jacket and maybe wear socks because it gets chilly at night. That's one thing people don't understand. The other thing, if you're brand new to the venue, we still allow people to bring your own picnic. So sometimes people aren't aware of that. or bring your own chair or blanket. So there are sometimes we'll notice people show up completely unprepared for that. Mm-hmm. It only takes one time, and then the next time they come, they're fully prepared. But those are kind of the big ones that we see most often.
And as we were talking about previously, you've been with Red Butte, you said almost 21 years.
21 years in June, yeah.
And I know you've been absolutely instrumental in building the outdoor concert series. Can you talk to me about, I don't know if this is correct, but I was seeing that it began in 1987. Yeah. Okay. How has it grown under your leadership or with your contributions?
Well, it's changed a lot, and I have to say it's a group effort. I wouldn't just say it's me. It's been a lot of us, and definitely Chris Motz that I was mentioning that helps book. He's been integral to the whole growth of this series. When he and I started, well, back to the 80s, it was, obviously I wasn't here then, but I found a number of like memorabilia and things from back then, but it was very small. I mean, the first ticket I found in an old folder was for $3, and it was just a string quartet. So it started like that on a very small stage, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, very small. Wow. And then the amphitheater itself was built, and it had a capacity of 2,500 at the time. No permanent stage. It was literally just a patio. And then we would put up a tent on top of it. And we didn't have a green room. We didn't have anything. We would sometimes keep the artists in the visitor center. We would sometimes put up a tent behind the stage, and they would just stay back there. We had a little, like a shower curtain to the bushes with a little table back there where some of the artists would eat. And I look back at that now and think there is no way we could have ever get any of these bands to come do something like that again.
I don't know if Boy George would love that.
Ever. And so we were doing, smaller, mostly acoustic shows when I first started, and we were doing maybe 10 or 12 a year. In 2007-8, we went through a major remodel of the amphitheater, which is the amphitheater we have today. And that's when we kind of ramped up the caliber of the artists that we were bringing in. Now we have a permanent stage, a permanent covering, a good sound system. And then the year after that, we built our Rose House, which is the building behind the stage, and we use it as a green room and also as a wedding venue. So those two things changed. It opened the door to what we could potentially bring to the garden. And so we have tried to take full advantage of that as best we can.
And how do you envision it growing even further, I suppose?
That's a really good question. Capacity wise, without doing another remodel, we can't physically grow the number of tickets we sell. We're kind of pinned in with the county road and the university, so that would take a full remodel and a revisioning of that whole space to put more people in there, which may happen someday. So that part's going to be hard. And then the flip side, we're not just a concert venue. We're a botanic garden, an arboretum, and we do 250 some odd private events and weddings a year. And we have, family nights and children's program and family programming. And we pack everything we do into the nice months of the year. So we're literally competing with ourselves at this point. There's no more dates in the calendar. So I don't know that it can grow that much more. We've done more than 30 shows before. And it can be done. I think our largest was 34 one year. But really, there's not a lot more room than what we're doing. So we'll probably always stay in that 28 to 35 range of number of shows.
And who is still on your bucket list that you'd love to book that hasn't been to the gardens yet?
We have a running joke that for 20 years I've wanted Steve Winwood, only because I know how much everybody would love that show. And just for some reason, it's never worked. We had him tentatively confirmed one year, And then the Telluride Bluegrass Festival took him from us, and he played there that night. So we lost him the one year we thought we had him. And now he keeps touring with Steely Dan, so we don't ever even get a chance because they're playing large venues, USANA or someplace larger than us. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of turned into a running joke here because we can never get him.
Steve Winwood, he's in high demand.
Yep. Check off all the legends and have them at least be able to say they've all played here once.
Do you have a single favorite show that you've seen there? It's probably hard to choose.
Yeah, I couldn't narrow it down to one, but there's a number of them that are memorable, and they're not always necessarily bands that I love, but either the day or working with the artist was a good day, or the show was far better than I expected. I remember one very vividly that's not a super popular band, but it was Dead Can Dance, and it was one of the most beautiful shows. Visually, it was just a beautiful show, and that's one of my favorites. And then personally, just because I like the music, the very first time we had David Byrne here, I'll just never forget that because I watched the whole place go crazy when he played Burning Down the House, and that was pretty memorable.
And he's just crazy on stage as well, isn't he? I've seen footage, and he runs around and does push-ups.
Oh, yeah.
That's some fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, it's hard to say, and there's been so many. I could name dozens, but I don't have a single one.
And what else are you, other than the concert series, are you excited particularly about anything else that's going on at Red Butte this summer, or what else should people know about the Gardens?
Well, I'm excited to get back to normal. I'll tell you that. We've been rescheduling events. We still have carryover events from 2020 that we're finally going to do. We've had people rescheduling their weddings for 2 years, putting them off, that are finally this year going to get to do it. We're bringing our summer camps back for kids that we had to scale way down and then cancel in 2020. Our family night programming is going to pick back up. We're starting to do in-person lectures and courses again, which has been nice. We had one last night that sold out. And then we've had a really great response with our wellness programming. And we're going to hopefully try to beef that up a bit. I think the pandemic shined a pretty nice light on how nature can help your mental well-being, your physical well-being, and just overall is good for you. And those programs have been very successful, and we'd like to beef those up a bit.
And also for those that haven't been to Red Butte, it's a gorgeous thing to just go up and walk around and see all the lovely flowers, and it's a lovely thing to do.
And right now, all the bulbs are blooming. The trees are in bloom. It's gorgeous right now.
And so I know for more information on the concert series, people can go to redbuttegarden.org. Yep. And you can also find out about the other programming that you've just mentioned, I assume, by going to that website.
It's all on there. There's an event link, and you can see everything.
And any COVID-19 protocols or anything like that in place? I suppose because it's an outdoor venue, it's not, people don't have to wear masks or.
Well, we're part of the University of Utah, and we're a state entity, so the legislature made that impossible. We can't legally enforce any of that. So no, so we're lucky to be outdoors and have 100 acres that we can spread out. So that's been nice, and that really helped because we were able to be one of the first cultural institutions, at least on campus, to reopen because we could spread out outside. So we were letting people still visit the garden. We did a lot of family portraits and things like that because not many places were open. So it was nice. It was nice to be able to, even though we weren't doing major events, it was still nice to be able to kind of let people in and wander the garden and kind of get away and not think about what's going on in the world for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you.